Today we look at the question of what should I do if my spouse is having an affair. My name is Lee Balcom and I'm the Internet's leading marriage expert. Now I've got to let you know that there's no quick fix if your marriage has an affair that's going on right now. However, your marriage can survive. In fact, the majority of marriages that have infidelity actually do survive. And it actually can improve the marriage, believe it or not. In fact, this could be a wake-up call for both of you. If both of you realize that infidelity was possible because something was missing in your relationship, you have a possibility of making it much better. Now let's talk a minute about affairs and what we're talking about. Affairs are often known as a crime of opportunity. In other words, rarely do you set that up. It just kind of happens. It's kind of like the being in the wrong place at the wrong time or the right place at the right time, depending on how you look at it. That just doesn't happen. It needs to have opportunity. Now, there are some reasons that people use to justify their behavior, and the top one is sex. I understand that it's not just about sex, though. It's about feeling wanted and desired. Everybody wants to have that sense of feeling wanted and desired by somebody, and oftentimes that's a major complaint about what's missing in marriages. That feeling suddenly disappears. We may have had it at the beginning of a relationship, but jobs, kids, life kind of takes it over, and suddenly we find ourselves without that feeling of feeling wanted and desired, and that often leaves us vulnerable for infidelity. Which raises the question of what do you do to stop an affair? First of all, recognize that you cannot control another person's behavior, so don't try. Don't try to tell your spouse that they have to stop the affair. You have no control over it. However, you can request that your spouse stop the affair and honor their commitment to the relationship. There's a difference between trying to control the behavior and requesting them stop. You just have to give up on the fact you can't stop it if the other person chooses to continue the affair, but you can make a request and have them honor the commitment. The second one is, or next thing, is to decide to face the truth about your marriage. What went wrong? Why was your marriage vulnerable to a relationship outside of the marriage? And if you're not willing to look at the truth of that, you can't get beyond this. Sometimes we get wrapped up in our anger about the affair, and we don't want to stop and look at the fact that something was going on. Once you've decided to take a look at your relationship, then you're going to have to want to commit to stay together. You commit to stay together, to re-energize a relationship and move forward. And I say commit because you may not feel like doing that right now, so you make a commitment to do that. It's a choice you make in order to move forward. Now, you have to accept responsibility you have in where the relationship is, not what the spouse did, but where the relationship is. There's a difference between what's happened in your relationship and the fact that your spouse committed infidelity. And I'm not saying that you accept responsibility for what they did, but you accept responsibility that the relationship was at a place that it put it vulnerable for an affair to happen. Then you seek forgiveness for the fact that you were a part of that process that led to that. It's not seek forgiveness for the other person having the affair, but seek forgiveness for where you've been in the relationship or where you've missed the relationship, and then seek to forgive the other person. And that is a tough piece, I know, but forgiveness lets us move forward. And then also avoid becoming the angry, resentful spouse. Sometimes we're so fueled by that anger and resentment that we actually make ourselves someone that our spouse doesn't want to be with, and it actually gives rationale. I'm not saying it gives a reason, but it gives a rationale for them to continue the affair. So avoid becoming that angry, resentful spouse, and refuse to let the affair define you. I don't know how many couples I've had that come into my office and they are the couple that had the infidelity. They stay with that identity so much that they're not capable of moving forward together in a way that will let them redefine the relationship. And if you want to recover from an affair, there's some things you're going to want to do. First, it requires that you understand why it happened. You have to get down to the why it happened, not the reaction to the fact that it happened. It requires forgiveness. Forgiveness is letting go of what has happened so that you can move forward, not so that the other person is off the hook or so that the other person has permission to do it again. Forgiveness is never about that. It's about you moving forward and not being defined, not being caught by what's happened. It also requires correcting the shortcomings of the relationship. So you find what's been weakened in the relationship and you find a way of overcoming that to strengthen the relationship and make it much more than it was before. It requires commitment, a decision to work through no matter what, and a commitment to honor the relationship. And finally, it requires creating boundaries to protect the relationship so this can't happen again. Whatever was the risky situation, that opportunity, you have to find a way of creating boundaries around the relationship so that that cannot happen. Now this is not a quick fix again, and this is just an outline. So if you want to know more about how to save your marriage, and you want to know how to get beyond an affair, you want to go now to www.savethemarriage.com. One of the things I offer there is an audio about affairs and what to do with them. So go now to www.savethemarriage.com, www.savethemarriage.com.